designed for the number, the original number. Basically, they could not get in unless somebody gave up a vacant lot and took that betterment over. So, it's an all-in situation, I would recommend.
What about staggered betterments? 1,300, 13,000, year one, and then, year 5, have it at 15, year 10, have it at 20, if you've got the capacity.
What I would suggest, and I know the betterments are covered in state statute, is have your town council do a little outline for you, because I haven't looked at that statute in, a good number of years. There may be different provisions in that now, but have him or her outline what the statute is now on betterment assessment procedures.
I have a question. As far as the formula used for residential and commercial properties, was that the same formula or different?
I believe on commercial, we had a different formula, yeah.
Could we get some information on that if possible?
If you want to call, Tim Barber over at the Highway Department's the new superintendent over at Dartmouth DPW.
Okay.
See what he has on the commercial betterment. Again, time has gone by and I don't remember, but I seem to recollect that they had, because they had different volumes of water and contribution into the system.
Along that
Check
line,
also if it's a form on the volume of water.
Yeah. I mean, obviously it makes a difference.
just to follow up on that line, you mentioned some special programs available for the residents, some extra special ones for the senior
Seniors.
citizens. How about businesses? Are there any programs available for any of the commercial people?
There may be, probably on a federal basis under business improvements. They may in fact be. The other thing that you may want to look into, and I believe that's a part of that section of Route 6, is under a qualified census tract, is that you might be eligible, because it's a qualified census tract, for certain federal assistance on that. Because some of the ARPA money that's coming for infrastructure improvements, not the first part of ARPA, but the second part for infrastructure improvements, qualified census tracts are eligible for certain portions of those funds, different than an area that doesn't have, low, moderate income.
And did you find that the legislative delegation and their staffs were of particular help or?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we work closely with Representative Quinn. The folks, we also got a grant from DHCD, which households that met the income levels, we were able to pay for their sewer connection and for their permits and fees. And we administered that grant, and we did quite a few of the connections. And I'm trying to think, I can't think of the name of the grant, but it's under DHCD, small cities or,
Rural small town?
Small town.
Rural small towns?
yeah,
You remember there was a caveat to it, if they sold their house 6 months after they...
there are.
Yeah, I was gonna say there
Yeah.
must be some kind of time frame.
But it's a recapture, and it just diminishes as the years go on.
Okay, hang on one second. Valerie, we're on the air now?
Yeah.
All right, so just so everybody knows, we are on the air. And now, for the people at home, this is the Infrastructure Oversight Committee. It's November 2nd. And the present speaker is Michael Gagne, former Dartmouth Town Administrator and Mattapoisett Town Administrator. And he's been giving us some great advice how we go forward here with our water and sewer plans. Okay.
A couple other points that I just thought of that sort of presented some wrinkles for us is that betterments are deferred on sewer assessments that pass agricultural land. You got to keep that in mind. And they're also deferred on recreational land such as golf courses. When we did the project on Hathaway Road, I suddenly found out that all of that frontage going up Hathaway Road along Welling City Country Club is on a deferred basis.
What exactly does that mean?
Means they don't have to pay it until they sell it,
So
or
agriculture?
convert it. If it's converted
How
to-
about, would you say that conserved open space, that would be
Well,
something?
I think, you know, certainly in the agricultural, I think it's the fairest thing, because you can't expect a farmer to come up with a betterment where lots are carved up and all of a sudden their fields are passed by, you know, Old West Point Road or something. Again, where golf courses are today, I can understand with golf courses. I don't think you have any golf courses involved in yours, so.
So, well, very south we do, not near this.
But you go on Hathaway Road from Route 6
Oh, yeah.
all the way up to
Slocum.
Truman Avenue. That's all golf course. And when we went up Slocum Road, that's golf course partially on one side and all the way to Route 6 Avenue.
Correct.
Were you there when on Ford's Corner Road, deep after the Phoenix restaurant, past the sheriff and everything, down on the right, when I went to All Hospital?
Oh,
That was farmland
medical
before.
facility.
What happened with that? you
That
know?
was
Okay.
before, after my
I
time.
was just curious what they did as far as recouping some of those funds.
Generally on those, they make the developer pay for the extension, and the abutters, the residential abutters, are no betterments.
So if you deferred by ag land, did you leave the stuff up for the home front, or you just went right by it, do you remember? Just curious if you left anything at all for the future, or they had to pay for a dig up?
I don't remember.
Because obviously, cut in a T later on the main is a major project.
Yep.
Just curious.
Now, would you expect the project manager that we would hire to know a lot of this stuff?
Yeah, there are individuals out there that, it's their area of expertise. And you need to pick, you know, engineering firms that have experience with projects of this size. I'm sure Tim Barber over at the DPW could recommend a number of firms. And I can pass on to Steve the firms we use.
That'd be great.
That would be great.
I'll pass it on to them.
I have another question. This is only our third meeting, so we're just getting into this.
Yeah.
And we're not real experts on it, but I heard or seen or read sewer and water districts and sewer and water commissions. Do you have any idea at all? Is there a pro and con? Are they different? What's the
I've never dealt with
What did you folks
districts. Wareham could be in a better position to tell, yeah, because they have water districts. I believe their sewer is in the town, but they have water districts down there. Onset is in a water district. I think it's Barnstable. Barnstable has water districts also. I don't know what the
So
pros and cons.
you were already set up like in Dartmouth, so you really didn't
Yeah.
have to reestablish
We were
anything.
the old school. Yeah, we have a highway department, and then we have a wastewater division, and
We have a
drinking
little
water
tiny
division.
piece of water up north, but that's about it.
Yeah.
So that the Board of Selectmen remained the actual commissioners?
No,
They got,
we appoint a Board of Public Works.
Oh, you have- okay,
I
okay.
should say, the Select Board appoints them.
right,
Yeah.
okay.
Any other questions?
Yes, I have another question. When we make some zoning decisions, particularly on appeals, or a lot of times with the Board of Health, remember now, we're all septic, so in effect, they will very often require a deed restriction for a one-bedroom or a two-bedroom in perpetuity, and I was always a little concerned about that, about the perpetuity part of it, because what if public sewer comes in? The whole reason for restriction of one or two-bedroom was because of the lack of septic
Sure.
ability. As a matter of fact, I had one lawyer actually change their decision
Interesting question.
based on it. So the question is, do you have any experience on how anyone can change that? Can they go back
Well,
to
if
court or something?
If it's a relief granted by the zoning board of appeals, you know, then they can come back for an amendment to the decision when they have proof that they can handle 3 bedrooms.
Correct.
But they could go back to the Board of Health.
Sure.
They can do that also.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think
I mean, I
this-
sat on the Board of Health for 3 years. I've given out dozens of these things. And I can't remember whether there was ever a caveat for if sewer comes through.
This may not be an
Yeah.
issue, and depending on the betterment structure and the single beneficiary use, it isn't particularly tied to the number of bedrooms or the actual flow, because then you get into a debate with every single house.
Right.
You know, we're making a connection, we're charging a betterment, and right now, there's a single person living in that home, and they use very little water. They sell the home, in moves 2 people with 3 kids, and now we're not gonna adjust the betterment. The betterment is tied to the construction costs of the sewer.
Correct.
So that once, taking the single beneficiary approach, once the betterment has been assessed to it, it doesn't vary with changes in the water use.
You're
No,
correct.
the issue is
Yep.
deed restriction. That's the issue.
I think once, I don't know about that.
But it is, you're absolutely correct. It's a single beneficiary. It's a house.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. It's a
Because
shame.
who knows? Somebody come in there and tear that house down. I can tell you, there's a particular section of that Route 6 project that you go and look at that's on the water. And you look, if you knew what was there 15 years ago, and you see what's there now, there's been an awful lot of change.
Mike, we see that up and down the river.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The reason, not to dwell on it long, the reason we're thinking about a water district or water service area is that the Northwestport region, from an economic demographics, all of that, it looks different from the town as a whole. There's no plan to sewer the town as a whole, because most of it is, as you know, the town is large open space areas.
Yeah, rural.
So, if we were to form a district, we could place ourselves into a much more favorable opportunity to pursue loans and grants and discounts on the loans and those kinds of things. So that's where, our thoughts have been looking at, are there opportunities there?
Yeah. And there's a lot of merit for that, because if you form a district and it's a population, and I can't think of what the number is, but the Department of Food and Agriculture has a rural development program that makes you eligible for low-interest loans. I mean, you don't have a sewer enterprise fund here, so if you have any indebtedness, and it has to be by the town, the indebtedness is shared by the people who will never get sewer. So there may be a lot of merit to forming a sewer district / water district. That's a great idea, yeah.
So we've looked at that, and we're along in our design, and our consultants have sort of initially blocked out betterment schemes exactly as you had recommended around this single beneficiary approach. And we're in that kind of, in the preliminary basis of looking at where these costs are going to be. We're in that 11 to 13,000 kind of range now.
Yeah. I mean, today, knowing what a new septic system would cost to put on your property and what it does to your property if you're dealing with a high groundwater table, I mean, that's a small sum of money in comparison. An elevated system is very expensive.
And we have many old, small lots that would make trying to be compliant to Title V a virtual impossibility.
Yep. No, I think that's a good idea with the district.
Did you have to do any rezoning?
No?
So in Dartmouth, sort of what we see is what was already.
Well, one of the things that we did, and it was a catalyst, I think, for acceptance, is prior to sewer only ran to the top of the hill at the intersection of Crossroad and Route 6. came across that intersection and headed out Crossroad North. Everything to the west of where Walmart is, there was no sewer. And that just basically, nobody developed anything. Steve will remember, you know, when I worked in Dartmouth, you were over that hill,
Used car
and
lots.
it was just nothing. There was nothing there. And our argument was, we bring the sewer over the hill, we come down, and then they can tie in. Restaurants can tie in, additional housing can tie in. I mean, it took some time, but that's the way it's gone. I mean, and what has happened is that has also helped to enhance the tax base, the commercial tax base, because they got split tier tax rate in Dartmouth. So it helped to enhance the commercial, industrial, and personal property side of the split tier, you know, tax rate. And it did what it was aimed to do.
Any other questions as we wrap up? Thank you. Anything from the audience on? We don't have the stand here today, so I guess just stand up, please.
On the sewer and water line there, can that all be done, the sidewalks left out of it, or the sidewalks have to stay inside that? In other words, if you went ahead and did that type of construction, would those sidewalks have to get done?
So, you're talking about the sidewalks on Route 6.
Yeah.
We need curb stops.
I'll tell you, to be very honest with you, go to your legislative representative and push the issue. Because they put sidewalks from Fairhaven to Mattapoisett. They just put sidewalks on Route 6 from Reed Road all the way up to Crossroad. That was all done by state money. You should push that issue. I would say your selectmen should push that issue right now and get those sidewalks in, have them do it.
In our case like this, the proposal for Westport, the sidewalks are a different proposal from the water and sewer.
But I wouldn't bundle them together. That's
You gotta
a
figure out what
cost that you have proven that the state will pay for. And you've got the examples to use to justify that you should have it, and the people shouldn't bear that. Once those sidewalks, you should get those sidewalks as soon as you can. And what they'll do is they'll bore underneath that, just like they're gonna bore under the road.
All right.
Right
Curb
to the-
stops,
to the
too.
property line.
Curb stops too, Mike, in
Yeah.
Hydrants.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else? All right, Mike, thank you very much. We appreciate all the
Okay.
input. Sorry we didn't get all.
Thank
You
you.
want to repeat it all for the folks at home?
I'll leave that to you.
All right, thanks. All right, we're gonna move on.
Okay.
What else do you have in the big stuff so we have everybody here? Want to go right to the manager interviews?
Well, let me just do this one thing
Thank
on
you.
old business.
Okay.
Because last meeting, we passed a mission statement.
Right.
And item number 4 was, one of our missions is to build a pathway for the IOC to eventually evolve into a Westport Water and Sewer Commission. And Jim Whiten mentioned that it could be a district, a sewer district. So I just want to make a motion. I actually printed this out, but it's probably not necessary. Make a motion to add 2 words, or district, to our mission statement.
Second.
It's
Okay, I make a motion,
in red, the change.
and Bob?
I don't think it's really controversial. It's just in case we.
No, it's just
make a
housekeeping
district.
stuff. It's just that this was a mission statement, and I think it should be approved. So I made a motion. Bob, you seconded it?
I did.
You got it down. Any other discussion on this? I think it's pretty cut and dry. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody against? Unanimous.
Okay. Thank
Now
you.
wanna go to
Housekeeping.
the managers interviews. No, who,
So the new business is project manager interviews and a recommendation. And I think, is it going to be Jim or Bob to do this?
It's gonna be me.
This is Jim's job.
enough for everybody.
Yep.
So we've been looking at
So we are sticking with it.
different options for project manager, and
Yeah, that's fine.
we had one company that we've talked to previously, going back to January, that was given to us. Unfortunately, at this time, they were just too busy, they couldn't do it. So we looked at 2 other companies. We looked at a bigger project manager type company that does a lot of large municipal projects, mainly building construction, but they did have some experience in infrastructure. And then we interviewed another gentleman who's just pretty much a one-man firm, And, they both gave us different perspectives as to, how they would handle it. I think the three of us, after interviewing those two, agreed that the smaller firm would be a better fit for Westport. This is a local guy. I think he grew up in Fall River. He knows the area. He's been in Public Works Director in another community. He's done sewer projects. When he came in and we discussed the project with him, he kind of hit a lot of the hot topics of the permitting process, dealing with Mass DOT and other permitting structures. He went through the betterment issues. He appeared to have at least dealt with most of the issues that we're going to be dealing with on this project. So based on those three, I would recommend the smaller firm at this time, and I think we should go forward with it. If the group is ready to go there, give you his name. And
Did you have him here tonight or not?
he is not here
I
tonight.
didn't know
No.
that, okay. All right. Discussion on this, Bob, you're in on this too, correct?
Yes.
So would you like to mention the name of the firm and the name of the individual?
Yeah, I think if the group is ready to go, I think so it's Roger Fernandez. His company is Fern Camp Corp. He's vice president of the company. Like I said, it's a small company, a family type business.
Since 2007, so he's been around a little bit,
Been around a bit.
15 years or so.
Yeah.
Any discussion on him? I know we had the side panel to
The
do
only question I have, it also says that from 2001 to the current time, he's with this other company. Is that a different company?
It is a distant,
Yes.
so he works as them for consultants, so when they need additional work, he will work with them part-time.
Only as needed,
As needed,
not
yeah.
full-time.
We did check with him, he said he could put as much time or as little time into this project as we wanted, so.
All right, and Jim, just so we're up to speed, we have the funds already aside for this, correct? So as soon as we do it, he can get to
Yeah,
work?
Senator Roderick's earmark that came down to the town, he specifically put money aside for this type of work.
Okay.
And it's needed, we just don't have the staff in-house to run this program.
Okay, so how do you want the appropriate motion? Is it going to be per diem person? Do we have a dollar figure in mind so we all understand the funds?
So I think this group would recommend to the Board of Selectmen that we enter into contract negotiation with them, we'll develop a scope, work out the hourly rate, and go from there.
All right, so the selectmen would figure out all that. Everybody understand that?
Make a motion to do that.
So it's a motion to recommend to the Board of Selectmen.
Correct.
Okay, Jerry made the motion. Anybody second?
I'll second
Oh, I think Mr. Amber will beat you. Yay. Any other discussion on this? Everybody understand? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody against? It's unanimous. All right, so that'll go to the selectmen. Hopefully we'll get that on the next meeting, Jim. We don't have a
Yes.
meeting for 2 weeks for selectmen, so we should have time to get them in there. Very good.
Do you want to interview him, or do you want the
Yeah,
candidate?
Jim will,
be there?
Jim will take care of that, and we'll probably have him in for the selectmen type
Okay.
things, we could ask questions, and
Yeah.
it'd be nice to know who we're putting on and
Yep.
spending money with.
Mhm.
Okay, so we got the mission statement, we got the projects. Mass Work Grant, Bob, do you want to hit base on that? Unfortunately, we didn't get that.
Right, we had applied for a Mass Works grant for the first phase of the sewer, and it was denied. We think we've asked for a debriefing, which is yet to be scheduled, but will be held. Basically, the idea is that we don't have anything ready to create jobs. And that, I think, was the sort of the track record of the town, and going for the first phase, because we couldn't deliver some developer or promise or business that was going to add jobs, that there was sewer and water, then they didn't give us the grant. So we're going to get a debriefing on exactly the reasons that they felt. But a lot of money was just handed out into those programs.
And we're going to continue looking for avenues like you, I know next week you are. And he's been a busy guy looking for all avenues, how we can address
We
this.
have a meeting with EPA, scheduled for Monday, looking at a different grant program. And we have been in conversations with our new town planner doing most of this work to meet with USDA. If we formed a district, we would be well under 10,000 people, and we would fall into a rural community category in which we would be eligible for loans and grants. So we're looking as many places as we can to have federal money and state monies pay for this sewer, rather than having it all come out of the taxpayers' pockets.
Jim, if we're going to put something on next town meeting warrant, when is that going to be? I know we haven't discussed it as select meeting, but what is that, usually December or January, so we'd have to have the articles in there?
We usually, I think the notice usually goes out and they want warrant articles in by the end of January, but the Board of Selectmen has some time beyond that to finalize the warrant.
Yeah, so just so everybody knows, a couple of months before that deadline. Okay, we ready to move on to the notice of intent filing, Concom? Jim?
Yeah, this is more just an update. The engineer is ready to file the notice of intent for the Phase 1, which would be that section of Route 6 between Fall River and Route 88. This is just a standard filing that they have to do with the Conservation Commission. We've asked them to hold off a little bit because we're still working on the pump station location down at the Fall River end, and hopefully we can have that be finalized within the next couple of weeks or months. So as soon as that's done, they'll file a notice of intent. So once they file a notice of intent, they will notify all the abutters in that section of the road. So they're actually saying they have to go 1,000 feet beyond that, but we're still working on that because that'd be a lot of abutters. But
So it's going to be 88 to the Fall River line, because there are some
88
people.
88 to the Fall River line, that's the first phase.
Yep.
And then they're going to get notification, because there are some people that own property in that
And
section.
anybody that abuts that section of
All right,
Route,
hang on.
anybody on that section of Route 6 that abuts Route 6 will be notified of the public hearing for the notice of intent. That's with Conservation.
Can you do me a favor, the mic's there now, just so people at home can hear you? Just identify yourself, please, and talk to the mic if you could. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Linda Souza, and I'm wondering if the intent is to go past 88,
Yes.
and how long?
It's actually the whole stretch of...
Like, it won't be all of
But I think it would be a good
Westport?
idea to summarize it for the people who weren't here in
Yeah,
the
there are
past.
more people.
As soon as we have the money, we'll do it. We have under design and probably at at least 75% design stage. We have a trunk sewer on Route 6 all the way to just short of the Dartmouth line. So it's all in design, and it's set up for 3 construction contracts. And we're busy, as you heard, trying to figure out, how we're going to pay for that and to chase those grants.
Okay, so if you receive more funds, you'll go further. Is that it?
Yeah, it is estimated cost to do that section of the trunk alone. It includes everything that you heard Mike talk about, bringing connections to everyone's property out across the street. You don't have to dig in the highway. The water, and this is both water and wastewater all the way. That's estimated. From Fall River. No, this is from what we have in design right now, which will be done probably in January or February. We have the entire Route 6 sewer and water in design, and it's almost all design. We've got surveys all the way, we've got test borings done. The town has been working using ARPA money. The town is taken the federal money and advanced a project that's been on the books for 20 years. So we have that project designed, or will be totally designed. The Fall River to 88 piece is 99% totally designed. We could
Does
put,
the town own any land between there? Does the town of Westport own any land in there?
5 lots.
Between the 4 line and 88, does the town own any land over there?
5 lots, Joe.
Yeah, there may be.
Yeah,
there's a couple.
There's 5 lots.
yeah.
There's a couple.
I don't,
They own.
I don't know.
Thank you.
I don't think there's much development potential if you
Yeah,
do
just-
own the lots. Most of the lots there are wet in that area. But that's the first section that has to get constructed, right? So the sewer is coming from Fall River. So you have to construct that section
But
first.
who's benefit?
You gotta get a pump house.
From 4 line to 88, who's benefit?
Well, eventually the whole town would benefit, right, up at the north end for
I don't
different
know.
reasons, but,
Yeah, the
right.
town's gonna benefit because they own 5 lots over there, right?
What are we gonna do with it? They're wetland lots right
From
now.
what I understand, you're gonna do something with it.
We have no
Oh,
plans. I'll
okay.
tell you the face
All right.
right now, we have no plans of
All right.
developing any lots there.
Okey-dokey.
But there's
So-
there's not many houses from there on.
Right, but what we do have is the development behind where the Dunkin' Donuts is. We have that whole hill that can be developed. It's,
From the go-karts to 88, right?
Mr. Chair, just so they can get it on the thing, if they could go to the screen.
yeah, I'm sorry. Joe, if I could trouble you to go to the mic.
Yeah, I got a question.
All right, can I have the mic? Just identify yourself with people at home, please.
Rob Machado. Why the water line the bridge? What's the connection with the bridge? I think I've heard a couple of different proposals. We say bridge. Does this come with the storm drain pipe? In other words,
I don't
is this
understand.
water,
He's asking why are we stopping at the 88 over past Cole?
is there a flag upstairs that says stop at the bridge? Why was it determined that we're gonna stop at the bridge with phase 1?
We're not.
That'd be
Well,
the question.
Maybe I should, let me explain. We have a design that the only place that we can put the sewage is in Fall River.
Right.
Okay? So you have to start at the Fall River end and work towards that. All right.
We
So
understand that.
does that make sense?
Yep, it does, but
Okay.
my question is.
We're not stopping any place. We're building contracts. The total price, the first person who steps up with a $28.5 million check will build the whole
Well,
thing.
let's break it down into phases.
We
We're
have.
stopping phase 1 at the bridge, is that correct or
No,
not correct?
We're stopping short of the bridge at a pumping station location
Yep.
that makes sense.
Does that come with the storm drain runoff pipe, or is it just sewer and water?
Sewer and water.
There's no runoff pipe.
No.
I don't think anybody would give up any kind of grants unless those bridges got tunneled into a runoff.
Yeah,
We need the runoff
we-
pipe. The
we
sewer and
say-
water is not gonna solve any water problems on Route 6. You can redo Route 6, that'll just flood out from the bridges, right down by the package store. So there's no storm drain pipe in this. This is just strictly water and sewer.
Water and sewer.
What is already there?
So why the bridge the cutoff then?
It
The
is-
water's
it
already
isn't.
done
It
in that
isn't.
part.
It isn't, it isn't.
Yeah, but it was.
isn't.
No, but it was
It isn't.
used as a cutoff in phase 1.
No, it isn't. Just let me.
So
just-
phase 1 goes the whole Route 6, nonstop.
Right, okay.
It stops short of, we call it to 88, it doesn't run to 88. It runs at the last home and the last business, it runs in that section. Then there's a whole piece
Intersection.
at 88 that's inside of the state right-of-way, in which there are no homes. You all know this area.
Yeah, they both own there.
There's
Yeah,
all,
that's
there's
where
all
we're at.
homes and there's all what, so there's no, it doesn't make any sense to extend the sewer into that until we can get to the next pumping station,
Yep.
which is down at Bread and Cheese Brook. So the next bite is from, where we leave off in the first phase, all the way underneath the 88, all the way down to Bread and Cheese Brook, and then there's another pumping station there that pumps back up, and then there's a last piece that goes from Bread and Cheese Brook down to the Dartmouth line. So there's 3 potential contracts, each at a logical, low spot stopping point where we can put a pumping station in and pump back. So that's the design.
So
process.
there's no storm drain, and the reason why I had mentioned the sidewalks was because if we took the sidewalks, we could go further with the sewer and only water. Where you're proposing to stop the sewer there, the water's already there, so really you're just working on a water line, sewer line, sorry.
The first phase is just a sewer line, then once we get beyond Davis Road, then it's sewer and water.
Yep, but why wasn't the storm drain line proposed inside this whole original lineup? I mean, you got water crises going on over there, right? And we're gonna be digging up for just sewer lines shy of the bridge on phase 1? No, phase 1 should have went way beyond Cumberland Farms, with the water, with the storm drain pipe, and the sewer.
We could do that. We can.
I mean,
we can set
you're gonna
these
be,
contracts.
we're gonna be asking money from, say, the feds and people's grandchildren and everything else, right? And we're not even gonna use a storm drain pipe inside the deal? You have to have
The
that.
state, that's the state, that's the
That's in the
state.
state highway.
Right.
I'm sure they're
And
gonna do upgrades when we do Route 6, but that's not part of our design.
so, and the sidewalks are left off our proposal too. Inside the town's proposal, there's no monies for sidewalks.
There is a plan, and it's in the preliminary stages. Mass Highway's working on it right now. to
But
redo
that wouldn't
routes-
have nothing to do with our funding.
To redo Route 6, and that'd be a separate funding source. And when Mass Highway goes in and does a project like that, they do everything. They do the
Right.
paving, they do the sidewalks.
I don't know
they
why
do curbing,
Mass Health,
and they do the storm drainage.
Mass DEP or the departments of Massachusetts would do any work over there without the storm drain pipes. There's water problems that runs down the other end of Route 6. It's been going on since the day that property was taken by eminent domain to put the highway in. So most of the damage to those houses, even way further down the road, really isn't all inside the storm drain pipe. To propose a project without that storm drain pipe, I mean, that's eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Those three things go
Well,
together. you know?
again, just so you know, Robbie, that's the state part. We're trying to get water
Yeah.
sewer to our residents and businesses. The state's gonna
Yep.
upgrade the highway, that would be part of it. And I know your part, and keep in mind, there was a lot of filling too, there was offsetting.
Yeah.
We wanna try to get the sewer out of the
Yep,
water
yep.
that you're stepping in outside first. And then the state, yes,
Yeah.
when they do the highway, I'm sure they're gonna upgrade the storm.
Yeah, but to go down and get the money and not have that pipe put inside of it, that could run into a problem.
The state's gotta fund the water, what you're talking about, the storm drainage.
Yep.
We've gotta do the water and sewer because it's for our people.
Yep, so that's something that they're working on.
They're gonna have to do it as part of the overall project, yeah.
Very early in the process with them, and these things take years with Mass Highway, so.
Right.
We wanna get our part done while we have, to be honest with you, we already had them in,
But
our legislators.
couldn't you talk to Mid-City Steel to raise up some dough? They're one of the biggest companies in town, to push that further down. I'm sure they would want that.
Yeah, everybody's on the table.
They got one place that's gonna have it.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, all right, let's bring it back a little bit, please.
Okay.
So that's the answer to your question. Right now, we're worried about our people, water, sewer, contaminating wells, et cetera, et cetera.
One more.
Ms. Souza, can you please go to the mic?
They go back over there.
Do you have any idea how long the three phases would take?
Whenever we
Be
could get money.
completed?
Like he just told you, they just went for funding and we were rejected for the mass works.
So right now, even phase one isn't starting, because we don't have the funding.
Nothing's guaranteed. The plans will be ready. What we're ready for now is as soon as they say we got money, like this miracle money with the offer money is the only reason we can do it now. And Mike Roderick's got us $1 million to help plan it out. That's how we're getting this person we talked about tonight. So we had some lucky stars on both. We got legislators that worked for us and the American recovery money. We're ready. What happens is when grants come in front of us, like Bob was just saying, we gotta be shovel ready. The more shovel ready we are, the plans we got done, the more apt we are to get money. We're just trying to be careful and not have to take oh, Mike's not here anymore. Like Dartmouth had to take a jail and whatnot to get part of theirs. We're trying to still keep Westport, which is the toughest part, is to try to get money without having to take people from all over the state for housing.
Westport anymore.
Yeah, I know, we're trying now, we're trying. So to answer your question, right now, we're trying to get to the point of shovel ready, and we're looking at all options for funding. You know, people aren't gonna come up like what we're
Right.
talking about, 30 grand a spot. We're trying to go for all the funding while we can and be ready. The key is shovel ready. Somebody could not go through with their project that some of this money was allocated for, and guess what? Westport's ready, we've got the plans, here you go, give us the money. You understand?
Okay, right,
So the more
'cause I
advanced
thought
we are.
right now is when they're offering, right?
Yes, we're getting in the
Right.
queue.
Okay.
But it's not impossible that other towns don't get their act together or town meeting rejects it and funds can come available and we need to be ready. And I want to stress Bob Dale and Jim White has been doing a lot to be ready. Okay, so.
Thank you.
Yes. Let's be positive, Joe. Joe, let's be positive. Okay, let's go to the next thing. All right, the census data. Bob, that's you.
Yeah, with our new town planner, Michael Burris is in the rear. Michael has landed and done a lot of research on the census tract and looking at forming a district. And as all of you know, we may be able to form a district that provides us with the opportunity to get much greater loan forgiveness or grants. So, you know, everyone hears the story about all this money is out there, but it's making the best case possible to pursue that. And as Steve just said, the idea of we're advancing to have actual projects. They won't give us the money if we don't even have the design for a project. So actually having the engineering, having the permits, Jim just described, having the permits in place so that we really do have a shovel-ready project. But we're going to pursue, in parallel with the design, we're pursuing the money at the same time.
Okay, anything else to add to that?
I don't see why the whole proposal isn't done at once. We're talking about monies, and we're talking about phases, right?
But we discussed, I don't think you've been to previous meetings.
No, I haven't.
We went through the whole stretch. We had the engineers on the screen. We had a live talk with them. You might want to look at that meeting on Vimeo yet, Val, or is it just on cable? So you can take a look at it. When we had the engineers from Kleinfelder here, we had them on
That one video, we lost all the stuff, I have to find it.
YouTube. All right, we'll try to get it so you can watch it. It might help you understand a little bit better because all the engineers explained everything, because we already went through that.
Because it's, Route 6 is about, what, 5 miles?
Yep.
And so why not all at once? If you're gonna go for the money, go for it.
If we could, but keep in mind, Route 88 intersection is going to be headaches with the state. So we're doing as much on our end as we can. Trust me, you know it's going to be a big problem with that interchange with the state at 88 and 6.
But
Well,
when we are meeting on Monday with EPA looking at a different program, that's a program that provides more money. So that most of the grants are relatively small, but they have a program that's for larger undertakings. And so doing the entire thing right now is just under $30 million. We don't have $30 million. So, we're looking at meeting with EPA and DEP on this innovative program. Could we qualify for a $20 or $30 million project? And if we did that, we would do the whole thing. And
So how much is it for just that phase 1 on Route 6 then?
$7.5 million.
$7.5 million? And so if you wait 30 days from now, it's probably, inflation's rising every day. So
it could, but we got to start somewhere where we
Right,
can.
but if you're gonna shoot for money, you're gonna have to automatically shoot for a little more from that phase 1.
Yep,
So if we see anything more than 8.5 come across the board, we know that there's gonna be a continuance into phase 1 down Route 6.
Yep.
So the person asking for the money or going for the money, who's that person gonna be?
The town, at this point, we bring it to town meeting for the funding.
Well,
Whatever
town meeting
funding
for
we
the
need.
approval, right?
Yeah.
Approval of funds, yes. And there might be
No,
eminent
how about
domain,
the-
etc.
How about approval of the project? Does that get voted
I
on?
believe it's just got to be selectmen to approve the project, but we got to go to town for the funding.
Yeah, without the funding, there's no project.
Yes. we can't do it without town approving us
Well,
spending the money.
first you have
No
to
money.
get it approved, right?
No deal.
Yeah,
And then if you get the money, there's a project.
yes.
That's how it works. So when we go to get the dough, right, if we step that up a little more money, in other words, it's like asking, let's ask for the 30, right? And let's see what we get.
Yeah.
So as far as breaking up phases go, those phases will go accordingly to the monies, just like you had said
Yes.
just a minute ago.
Yes.
So why not ask for more money and get that extended out?
We will see what's out there, Robbie. Right now, we got a high school we're trying to decide on
But
millions of
isn't-
dollars. We got to look at the overall
No,
town.
Isn't this money from the Build Back Better program?
Wait, hang on, guys, please.
Yeah.
Yes, go ahead.
Isn't this money coming through the Build Back Better program?
We're going for whatever avenues we can, and we're trying to be ready.
Right, so what
to
we're gonna do
pull
is
the trigger, if you will, as
shoot
soon
for
as
the
we.
biggest dollar, right? And take at least phase 1 money.
But I just want everyone to understand that, yeah, we're looking at all these, most of that money that's coming through the build program and the infrastructure investment program, for water and sewer, it runs into the state revolving fund. They're only loaning us that money. They're not giving us that money. And what we're trying to do is to craft, with the formation of a district, the ability to have debt forgiveness, to get 20 or 30% of the money at least come to us as a grant, as opposed to it comes to us all as a loan, and we have to go to town meeting and actually, yeah, it's low interest loans, but we're still borrowing the money. So we're trying to work on that, and from my standpoint, I'd do as much as I can, as quickly as I can.
Yeah, the more you could do, the better off the citizens of the town would be.
I got it.
Yeah, but 15 years ago, we had the same
Yep.
about this. All the business would say, we're going for the stuff.
Yeah, just so people at home can hear you.
All the business
Just say who you want.
donated money for that study, because it was $30 million,
Yeah,
okay? We went to a town meeting.
yeah.
What happened?
Well, that's
I
exactly
want you
why
to, Steve, I want you to tell me what happened.
it got voted down. And
You
the same
voted
thing can
down,
happen
but
if we go for the whole enchilada
Well,
and
what
stuff.
happens is, everybody from the Sultan is gonna go to the town meeting. We lost by 8 votes.
Yeah.
And was already approved, if it was $30 million, they were gonna spend 3 phase.
Well, yeah,
We
but
lost that.
I totally understand, but we weren't to the point we are now. We're advanced. There's a little more pollution problem that come to light. People realize nitrogen impact and whatnot. There's more to it this time. But yeah, there was work. Maury was on that
We
committee.
waste a lot of time, you know what I mean?
Go ahead, Rui. I'm sorry.
Rui Cadero. I don't know if you're, I've Googled some of this ARPA money and
Yeah.
monies that they've been giving away. I don't know if anybody's aware, but the town of Berlin, New Hampshire,
Yeah.
you aware what they got? They got $20 million to do a heated sidewalk
Right.
in their downtown area
Yeah.
that the residents don't even want. But it got approved.
Yeah.
And there's other monies, there's a lot of money still to be had.
What program, Roy? Tell us how to do it.
Tell us how to do it.
Yeah.
We'll do it.
Well,
It's just boom.
what we should do is find out where how they did it. Was it at a state rep level? Was it a senator level?
Yeah.
The money was pulled out of there for somehow,
Yeah. Yeah.
and there is money available.
There is. We're trying to get it.
Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, Manny.
All right, so I sat in on the Serpent meeting, and one of the things that Mass Highway was saying that they're going after this ARPA money also. So in District 5, they have a lot of their EPA problems. The water that Mr. Machado's talking about, the storm drainage, they've surveyed all of Route 6 already. They've been out there during the bread and cheese brook when it overflows. Okay, so the first thing that you do when you build a road is you put the sewer in. Then you do the drainage, then you do the water. So that's the reason why I keep pushing and letting the people know that we need to get the sewer designed. We get whatever money we can get. I believe Mass Highway is gonna get as much of that ARPA money, the federal money that they can get from the Biden to do their work. If we have a sewer designed,
Right.
and we can't find the money to get it in, I can't see where we're not gonna get more help to get this sewer main and water main down to our residents. So that's why we need to, I'm not too concerned about going to town meeting looking for money. I'm more concerned about getting this design complete
Yeah.
and shovel ready like we were told to do.
We're still looking at January, Bob, for all 3 phases? So we're looking, just for people that haven't been to the past meetings, January for all 3 phases of 6 to be done with the design. So we're moving on with that. Obviously, the first phase, like we've been talking about, was just before the 88 overpass. Now the next 2 phases are all Route 6. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, so that first phase, do we have any funding for construction in place now?
No, just to get all the legwork done and get our person on board, and then we can track down the money or bring it to town meeting. And that's what we've got to decide over the next couple of months. So that's what we try to get the word out to people so they understand and help us try to move this forward. Okay, next, public infrastructure, building voter awareness and support. I know we had some from Mike Gagne, but yeah, we're definitely going to have some charrettes and stuff because we're already getting it where people are standing up. So.
Yeah, no, I think that the kind of exchange we're having tonight is exactly the kind of exchange. You should understand what we're doing, we should understand what you want, we should be talking to one another about how we're gonna do this, and this is all to the good. We're gonna do this, as we advance this project, we're gonna be doing this, every month throughout, maybe the next 3 to 5 years when we build all this stuff.
Maybe we could get from Klein
I hope I'm still here.
Yeah. Hang in there. Do me a favor, for our next meeting, let's get the 3-phase map, just so everybody's aware of it.
Yeah.
Just so people that are new to the meeting, we used to have it on the screen so we could follow along, but this meeting, we didn't have any presentations on the screen. And you surprised us by bringing a few more than usual, so sorry about that. Okay, all right, moving on. Additional new business, anything that was not anticipated, so we don't have any new business. Anything any members want to add before we move on? Hopefully we're going to, Mr. Fandies will come on board, and that helps us even more because he'll be digging in more, working for us. We will, probably after the holidays, so people will show up, probably January, either at the school or, I don't know if White's will let us have a room again to have a forum. It'll be up toward the area where everybody's from, so we don't have to come down south. Rui?
At some point, do we get Mike Rogers on board? I mean, is he?
He is.
He was here last meeting.
What I meant is for the funding.
He's on board.
All right, I know he's on board. I mean, are we gonna supply him with our guy? And is he gonna go to the state or to the feds?
Yeah, well,
And push that.
Bob and Jim in front of you. Yeah, just so you know, Bob and Jim in front of you have been meeting with federal people. They just met with one or 2 weeks ago.
I mean,
They meet with the EAP.
I appreciate
No, they have reps there.
But, I mean, we do need someone to push a little bit.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Whether it's Mike Rogers or Paul Schmidt or whoever it is.
They're involved. They're in the loop. Trust me, they got all the information.
Both of them were here at our last meeting.
Yeah, I was here too.
No, not this meeting. The meeting with the feds.
And also, everything, the grant applications, the work that Mike Burris has done on the demographics, all of the research that we've been doing, he gets copied on everything. Both Mike and Paul gets done everything. And I've sent all of that stuff that Mike's done to every rep of our congressional delegation. So Keating, Warren, and Markey, they've all got our application, they've all got the letter for appeal. We've sent all of that, so they have every step that we've done. We didn't send them a set of contract documents, but outside of sending them the plans, they've got everything that we're currently working on.
Every week. And the Serpent, and the Serpent meeting that Manny, you said in the last Serpent when we talked about it, Mike Rogers was on there, talking about the funding, and Jim in front of you chimed in.
Will we be shovel ready by the end of January?
With phase one will be shovel ready. Second one after the bridge will be eminent domain and the state.
You think?
Probably, we would be able to, getting all the permits in place, probably by the middle of spring, maybe March or April, would be able to bid all three of those if we had the money.
I'm sorry.
And I just want to point out about our senator, dearly beloved senator. Last November, a year ago, he got a $1 million earmark of ARPA money that he sent to us. And at the meeting last month, he said there'll be another one coming in November, because he's still chairman of the Senate House and Ways Committee, as you know. He's bringing home the bacon.
When he called up, that's what we need. So we're trying to get water and sewer on Route 6, and that's what he worked on. He asked us, I know he asked planning board, and that's how he got us the $1 million.
Where's that first million?
Where's the what?
We spent that already, baby.
No, that's part of what we're getting the new government.
We've only spent about half of it,
Yeah.
I think,
So
right?
just so everybody knows, there's been meetings every week, Rui. I hope you don't think we're sitting on our hands. And I got to give Jim and Bob and Jim Hartnett big credit. Every week we're meeting with people. He's literally been sending emails to every Fed agency saying, we need your help and help us out. So, anything else to add?
No.
All right. What do you want to do? I skipped over the next meeting date. Are we gonna be able to get together in December? Jim, what are you thinking for as far as we might have some information, or Bob, what do you think would be a productive meeting, anything in December?
We could try to do December and see what we got, and if not, we'll move to January.
Okay, so let's see with putting this person on board, and then Manny or whatever will relay to Rui and the businesses. We'll make sure they're in.
Why doesn't he
We're gonna need your email, get on the list. All right, so yes, so expect that probably right after the holidays. I wanna have the forum. So once we have a new person on board, once we have enough information, we'll explain it. We'll have our charts there. Robbie, hopefully you'll be able to understand a little bit more. Everybody will see it in black and white.
Okay, I'm confused. Are we going to have a meeting the first Wednesday in December?
And we're going to see what comes out of the next meeting. Jim's going to see what happens, and we're going to work on a date. Or you want to do it today?
Yeah, it's up to you. We can do it today if you want. We can do a tentative date.
Can you flip the calendar?
Second week
Jim?
in December.
December 14th would be the second week.
14th too late?
I don't think that's too
Want
late.
to try for 14th or too late?
Why don't we do tentatively the 14th?
Tentatively the 14th. What day is that? Wednesday?
Wednesday.
Wednesday the 14th. Tentatively, right now, December 14th.
Let me just
Could be
make-
something change depending on.
Do they have a zoning board meeting that night, Jerry?
Not at this point.
Okay. We'll go
Okay.
to 14.
Okay.
So our next tentative is December 14th. Anything else? And Tim, when you're ready, motion to adjourn. Go ahead, man.
Mr. Chairman, to Bob Daly. So we're gonna be meeting with the EPA looking for some funding,
Funding avenues, yeah.
avenues.
Yeah.
One of the things, I mean, could you ask them what kind of pressure is being put on Mass Highway, stormwater wise? Because, you know, like I said before, I've seen them surveying the bridge at Bread and Cheese Brook. We really don't want to see them build a new culvert over there before we get our sewer under the Bread and Cheese Brook.
Yeah, they know it's, because biking's in there, we gotta go with zoning.
I would add to that the sidewalks also.
Yeah.
And I believe that's coming,
That's
you know, I
part
mean,
of the
that's the other thing. We gotta get the water out of there, we gotta get because that was the biggest problem where we do have water for small business. The cost of getting it out of Route 6 is too much, so that's gotta be part of the contract, that all goes out.
We'll keep
One
it.
quick last thing.
Go ahead, Roy.
There is people here that have had problems with their septic systems.
Okay.
Where money's been put in escrow. They're mandating they put the new. Is there any way to get the Board of Health to kind of like back off?
The state mandate?
No, not state, but the
The
town.
town?
Local.
Town.
Oh, the nitrogen?
Yeah.
It's probably gonna be a Board of Health meeting, correct?
That's Board of Health.
Board of Health.
I mean,
Board of
can
Health.
he be a little bit? Can he be a little lenient? I mean, this is going on, and you got people that are.
Oh, no,
phone calls.
I understand, believe me, we're trying to fight the state thing where they wanna make the whole state a Title V.
Well, this is a town thing.
I know, I don't know. Well, that includes us, obviously, we're in the state.
Well, they want to make the whole town a D-night.
Yeah, they wanna make the whole town D-night towns.
Which sewer does.
But yes, so anyways.
Absolutely, good point.
Bring it,
Eddie, good
you
point.
can bring it to, I would suggest it to Board of Health that things are in the works, they know it, and we'll take it from there. I mean, they're a differently voted body, to be honest with you. I know Manny's brought that up before.
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
That's an issue with the water, and when we're looking for funding, I mean, a lot of these, what's happening is that bylaw that they created, they said that a repair could be a Title V system. But what they're doing is they lowered the nitrogen level in the well from the state to a town regulation, and they're testing the well, and that's what they're making them, because they have bad water, they're making them do the D-nitrogen.
Okay.
But now they're not looking at, well, what do we do about the big problem is their drinking water isn't any good.
Right.
You know, and there's a couple people here that the water main's 500 feet away from them, and they want them to put this, one of them's a $60,000 system. You know, retaining walls on Route 6 and.
No, I heard it, like when Tony's Package wanted to add a drink bar, he had the same problem, he couldn't do it. You know, whatever we can do, I mean, I think we're doing diligence by trying to get this done, to be honest with you. We do need Board of Health on board, but that's
Well, I'm just,
kinda.
my concern is some of the people, one of them because my property goes almost to Route 6, but I live on Gifford Road, but
Right.
some of the people on my back street, a friend of mine just bought a house over there, and they made him put $50,000 in escrow for the system. And they told him, if your contractor doesn't do it in 6 months, the bank's gonna send somebody out there to do it. And that was one of the ones that should have been a repair.
Right.
That could be a Title V system. They tested as well. He's gotta put a denitrification system in,
Yeah.
and
All right,
He's
I'm not
gonna
sure we
spend-
can do, I mean, to be honest with you, I mentioned at the other meetings too, that's part of the area that I talk about that has a problem, but people don't wanna bring it up because they're afraid of their home value and whatnot. That's the whole point of trying to get this all the way down Route 6, like we're striving. But I don't think anybody wants to come and show their test samples of fecal, et cetera. And you know, it comes into a quandary for us because the state's gonna take our word for it.
well,
Because people don't
one of
wanna
those
go
other
for it.
cases,
Yeah,
you know, the wells, you know, we got a lot of wells that dried up on Route 6.
yeah,
And some of these wells that are contaminated, they're like 15 feet off Route 6, so
Yeah.
where the
The salt
contamination
water.
comes, it's really not the people, their wells didn't do it.
I got you.
I mean, their septics didn't do it.
I know, that's supposed to be a light salt zone too. All right, anybody wanna make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right, I think we were gonna get one. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, second by Mr. Emerald. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.